This week is going to be remembered in much the same way as the week Christmas was HOH and BB22. We're losing this week. We're losing. So, let me just quickly blow through the things that I had. I had really one thing before that I feel like mentioning. Xavier was saying that Hannah can't control Derek X and Tiffany can't control Claire. And it's not the first time he and Kyland have talked about, like, control. And it just kind of rubs me the wrong way. I mean, like, I get it. You want to be in control of the game because you want to be in control of your own destiny. But, like, just putting it in so many words, it feels a little off. And, yeah. Wasn't crazy about that, and I wasn't crazy about him saying that Derek X should be next. Because Derek X is my favorite. And, I'm rooting for Xavier in the sense that he is my first draft pick. And if he wins, that would be kind of cool for me for that reason. But... Well, okay. Let's just get to the elephant in the room here. The HOH competition. Sarah Beth won. Sarah Beth is the first female HOH of the season. And the HOH competition was... They had to walk across this, like, balance beam obstacle course. And there were various routes they could have taken. Some were wider than others. And Sarah Beth, if I'm not mistaken, she stuck with the safe route the whole way and got herself to the end. And beat Claire, who had held... Claire was the first one to go, and she held the title for a little while. She went through 4 or 5 people before... I think it was like 4 or 5. Before Sarah Beth beat her time. Derek X. He briefly tried to walk across, because, like, from the start, there were 2 ways to go. There was, like, a regular length beam, and then there was a really skinny one, which was the hardest to walk across, but if you got across it, it would save you a lot of time. Derek X tried to go that route. He fell off after probably 3 or 4 seconds. He went back. He ran the course the same way Sarah Beth did. And he was a 1/10 of a second behind her time, at most. A lot of people are saying it's 100th of a second, but no, we saw, like, when Claire was in the lead, like, the timer would stop, like, 100th of a second after the after the leader's time. So some people are saying that Derek X lost by 100th of a second. That's not the case, but it was close, and it was more like a 1/10 of a second. And, seeing him be that close, it was hard not to have flashbacks to Big Brother 22. Janelle was, like, 1 point away, and she was, like, inches away from getting that extra point that would have... I think it would have at least tied her with Tyler for that HOH. Oh, and the week before, Nicole Anthony, she was one of the last people standing. That was like a true or false comp. And there were like 6 people left. And 5 of them got it wrong. And it was just Memphis that got it right. And then Memphis took Nicole Anthony out. And then it happened. Tyler got HOH after just narrowly beating Janelle. He took Janelle out. Estuary, hi. Hello, I'm so mad with BB. Yeah, this is a hard week for sure. And the week after Tyler took Janelle out after narrowly beating her in the HOH. Enzo took Kaser out after narrowly beating him. And and then of course we had Christmas's HOH. She narrowly beat Davon. She did not take out Davon, but she took out her closest ally. And she nominated Davon. So yeah. But seeing how close Derek X was, that had me thinking, like, please don't let this be the same way. Don't let him be taken out this week when he was that close to HOH. I can't handle it after what BB22 put me through. And I gotta say, the first couple hours of Sarah Beth's HOH, I and a lot of people were thinking, maybe this won't be so bad. It seemed like she was like gonna play her own game, do her own thing, make her own choices. And then I believe she spent like the whole night almost talking to Kyland. And things changed. But I'll get to that in a moment. There were other things that happened that I made note of that I wanted to talk about. Okay, so Derek F. went on a rant that Big Brother competitions are catered to skinny players, and he loves calling people the B word, and he was using it very liberally for Sarah Beth. And I'm like, look, I have grown quite tired of Sarah Beth's HOH, but that's disrespectful and honestly kind of like misogynist. Like the venom in his voice when he says it reeks of misogyny. Okay, I'm sorry, but it does. And it's not the first time, and it's like, well, didn't stop him from getting 100 BB bucks before, so why would it stop him now? And as far as ranting about the comps themselves, it's like, look, I'm a big guy, okay? I'm 6 feet tall. I weigh over 200 pounds. I would not do very well in too many physical BB comps. I mean, I think the only one I think I would do well in would be the slip and slide, because that's catered to either bigger players, like tall players, like Jason won it in BB19, Fessy won it in BB20, Cody won it last year, Mickey won it season before that, or it can also go to like players who come from colder places and are like used to walking around and not slipping on ice in the winter. So like BB17, Becky, she wasn't very big, but she won the slip and slide because she was from Denver. So she was probably used to not slipping on the ice in the wintertime. And I'm from Massachusetts. I know a thing or two about trying to navigate the ice in the winter. And I don't slip. So yeah, slip and slide would be like my only good physical comp. But like, I would have thought about that going in. So Derek F. ranting about it repeatedly, it's like, you need to stop. Like, you should have taken this into account before you signed up or signed on, because I'm not 100% sure whether or not he was a recruit. Oh yeah, my drink of choice today, Orange Crush. Yes, I am drinking Crush because this week is crushing me. And Azza, she's back on her train of, why didn't Kyland throw last week's HOH to me? I would have taken out Sarah Beth. We wouldn't be in this position. And I'm like, Azza, you gotta do some stuff for yourself. Like, just between Derek F's misogyny and Azza's entitlement, I was just like, I would not mind if Sarah Beth puts them both up. The cookout, if they got to take a loss, it might as well be the two most useless members of the group. Okay? There it is. I said it. They're useless. They're not helping the cookout. They take and they don't give. That sounds good. What sounds good? I didn't see when the comment came up. I don't know what you're saying sounds good. I've said a lot. That to me sounds good. But yeah, I feel like Oz's entitlement is starting to get to me a little bit. You know, her and Derek F haven't won anything yet. Hannah hasn't won anything either, but she's playing a great social game. And she's putting in the mental work, the strategic work, even if she doesn't have any wins yet. So, Kyland tells Derek F that he's going to work to keep Sarah Beth from targeting the cookouts. And Derek F says, the women need to step up more. I'm like, shut up, Derek F, okay? You lay down in the back room all the time, and all you do is talk smack about everybody else with Ozza. And formerly Brittany. Oh yeah, Brittany was eliminated. Didn't even mention that because so much has happened since. But yeah, Brittany was evicted 7-1. She took it better than I thought she would. She left classy. She didn't storm out the door in tears like Rachel and BB20. So, good for her on that. And that's all I'm going to say about that because, Brittany is the past at this point. And I want to deal with the present and the future. Well, a little bit of the past because, it's more relevant to what's going on now. Like, the stuff that's happened already. Like, honestly, everything that's happened this week to me is the present. Like, the present HOH reign. Yeah, Derek F says the women need to step up. And I'm like, you do nothing but complain. Like, you couldn't win a luck cup. So, just stop. Derek F and Xavier, they talk about how they want to steer Sarah Beth to Derek X because he put her up. And, on the one hand, that is a fair point. He did do that. But, I knew that Kyland and Xavier were going to be in Sarah Beth's ear. Even when she won, I'm just like, I know they're going to get in her ear. I still, though, I had that little bit of hope at the start that she was going to do her own thing, have her own HOH week, but apparently not. This is just Kyland's second HOH, and you know what? He's having a way better HOH week this week because he made such a mess of it for himself last week. He is positioning himself better. The rest of the cookout isn't looking at him like, what are you doing? They're all just looking at Sarah Beth now, but he is, pulling her strings. Now this I found kind of interesting. Kyland suggested to Sarah Beth that she nominate him and he goes for the veto, and also I guess he couldn't go for the wild card because unless he got 75, he wouldn't have enough money, and I think even he knows he's not getting 75 anytime soon because just the way he's been running the show, no one has been impressed. So I think he at least realizes that he's not getting any money anytime soon. So, yeah, I guess he was suggesting to Sarah Beth that she nominate him so that he could go for the veto. And I'm like, you don't have any vetoes yet. Your only 2 wins are two HOHs, but one of them was a little bit of a luck comp. There was some skill involved, but, that it was okay, I'll say the first HOH, that was 75% skill, 25% luck, I would say. But his second HOH he got because Tiffany pressed the wrong button. And I'm like, why couldn't you press the wrong button? You could have saved yourself some of the grief that you caused. So, I don't feel as though Kyland has won a competition legitimately for himself yet. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence as to his first one. You know what? I think that I could probably call that skill because, a lot of people had an easier shot than him and they couldn't do it, and he managed to. So, okay. He has one legitimate win, but he doesn't have any veto wins yet. So, he is kind of I don't know. He's kind of overestimating his own abilities. I think. Now, Sarah Beth, she revives the Jackpot, which was an alliance she made early on with Tiffany and Claire. She wants to work with them again, and I'm thinking, okay, Tiffany's in her ear. This might be good. Claire's in her ear. That's also good. I'm thinking this alliance could have really helped make a difference. And then Hannah is talking to Sarah Beth, and she says that, well, she reminds Sarah Beth that the beef that they had with each other was started by Christian and Alyssa. So, like, that's Hannah trying to steer Sarah Beth towards Alyssa as a target. And I think that was a very, very smart move on Hannah's part because it was protecting the cookout and it was protecting Derek X. She's like, okay, I want Sarah Beth to target Alyssa now. Like, that's a smart move. I respect that. And Sarah Beth tells Claire that Kyland is a potential nominee because she wants to make sure that the roulette power is used. Just so that, like, whoever she nominates, like, she ostensibly wanted to nominate two people that she would want one of them to come down. Like, she wouldn't want to put her target up right away. Like, fair enough. I get that. But I was thinking nominate someone who has the money to compete. And Claire ran out of money last week. She only got 50 and she spent it all in that competition. The first one. So I was thinking, like, Sarah Beth, why don't you start looking at people who actually have BB bucks? Now, Sarah Beth tells Derek X, and I'm pretty sure this was like the night she won, like just a couple hours later. She tells Derek X she would prefer he save up his money for the coup d'etat because she trusts him with it. And I'm thinking, this is like a very smart move on Sarah Beth's part because, like, if she doesn't get rid of him and he has enough money, then he goes for it, he wins it, he keeps her safe another week. Like, she can't compete for HOH next week and she won't have enough money to compete for the power. But keeping him there, making a deal with him, like, that would have, I'm like, Sarah Beth, that is a great move. Do that. Don't put him up. Keep him and convince him to, like, not put you up, like, in exchange. Like, in exchange for you not nominating him or backdooring him or anything, you keep him around so that he can protect you next week, should he get the coup d'etat. But, then, overnight, Kyland and Sarah Beth talk for a very long time, and by the end of it, Kyland has persuaded Sarah Beth to just nominate Derek F. and Claire again. See? He does want it to be his HOH, because those are his two original nominees. And they did this under the impression that they would get Derek X to play roulette, use up his money, and play roulette to take Claire down. But Derek X was convinced by Xavier not to play in the roulette, not to play for the power. So, yeah. Xavier, I said this before the season started when I saw that he was a lawyer, and it reminded me of Vanessa Russo. Like, I think she's a lawyer now. I don't know if she officially was a lawyer yet when she was on her season. I have to double check, but I know she went to law school because she mentioned that. And I'm like, will Xavier have Vanessa's powers of persuasion? Because Vanessa had this amazing ability to get people to go against their own interests. Like, it happened in Bowl Arena, the Bowl Arena veto. Like, quick refresher on that. Steve was HOH that week. He nominated Liz, one of the twins, and Austin, her showmance. And, like, Julia was going to be the backup in case one of the nominees won veto. But he's just like, he's talking with Vanessa and Johnny Mac, and he's like, no matter what, Julia cannot win this. She just cannot. And then when the competition was going, Julia was able to pick her opponent, like, fairly early on, and Vanessa convinced her, with her lawyer speak, to choose to go against Austin. Even after Liz and Austin already agreed with Julia that, like, if they get the chance, they are going to try to throw it to her. And, like, the way, I don't remember the exact order the names were pulled, but it was, like, it was a favorable scenario in which they could throw it to Julia. But then it's Julia's turn to pick, and after Vanessa talks to her, she chooses Austin. And it's amazing that she got Julia to do that. Like, Julia was not thinking in that moment. And then that made Austin realize, like, is there some kind of plan going on behind my back that everybody is in on to get me out? And then Austin just went like an animal for the rest of that competition to win that veto, and he did. He saved himself. Julia was the replacement. Julia was eliminated. So, yeah, that was pretty masterful work on Vanessa's part. And Xavier, he is able to... He got Derek X to not play, which was very much against Derek X's own best interests for his game. So, yeah, it was... Like, I'm trying to be mad about it, but it's really impressive, honestly. Just the fact that Xavier is able to... Xavier and Kyland, really. Like, they are master manipulators. And, like, I don't like the way this week is going. I don't like who the target is. But on a game level, I do respect it. I mean, Xavier and Kylan see a big threat, and they are getting him out without getting any blood on their hands, or trying to get him out. And, you know, it's a little impressive. And very frustrating. So, yes. The nominees are, as Kyland convinced Sarah Beth to do, they are Derek F. and Claire, just like last week. The roulette comes into play. And somehow, Alyssa has moved up from the $50 tier to the $75 tier. And this power cost 125 BB bucks to play. And Alyssa plays for it, and she gets it. And I just want to know who wanted to vote for Alyssa, honestly. Like, what has she done that's impressive? Like, yeah, okay, she's finally won a veto, but, you know, yes, okay, yeah, she won a veto, but Derek F. has still won nothing, and he got 100. So, like, the wins don't matter. They do not matter. And it's like, I don't get how Alyssa moved up to the $75 tier instead of Claire. Did Claire move up? I forget. I forget what Claire got. All I know is Alyssa got 125. She got to spin for the veto. I mean, for the roulette to take off one of the nominees. She decided to take off Derek F., which was weird to me. I was like, why not Claire? Like, Derek F. is someone who has no wins. Like, he's less of a threat. Claire does have 2 wins. She doesn't have a veto yet, but, you know, she does have wins to her name. And Alyssa spins the roulette wheel, and Derek F. comes off the block, but Xavier he ends up on the block. But he is not worried at all because he knows how well positioned he is. He's not worried at all about his predicament. I just realized there's a setting on my laptop I now have to change. That's annoying. Anyway, Sarah Beth, she talks to the cameras. And she says, "Sorry, America, but I might backdoor Derek X if he doesn't win the veto." And she is just doing the Cookout's dirty work. She is Xavier's and Kyland's assassin. She's doing it for them. They get no blood on their hands, and they probably take her out soon. Maybe not Kyland or Xavier, but anyone else in the Cookout wins HOH next, they probably take Sarah Beth out. Like, she is just... She doesn't realize it, but she is completely sinking her game. She is dooming herself entirely. Like, she was, like, the best chance of the Cookout not making it to Final Six this week. And, well, she's the best chance of breaking up the Cookout this week. And she has been convinced not to take it. Tiffany tells Derek X that he might be backdoored if the nominees change. But Derek X tells Claire that he feels safe against Xavier on the block. And I'm like, okay, Derek X, you have come a long way. You have learned this game very fast, but you are very wrong here. There is one cardinal Big Brother rule that he doesn't seem to be taking into account. You can never feel too safe. You just can't. But Hannah, she's talking to the camera. She's already got her plans in motion. She is going to do everything she can to save Derek X. And I'm like, Hannah really does care for him. She loves the alliance that she's in, but I think there is a part of her that realizes that the Cookout mostly benefits the men of the Cookout, not so much the women. Like, Xavier and Kyland are the ones who benefit the most from the Cookout at this point. And honestly, taking Xavier out now while he's on the block, if he stays on the block on Thursday, that is they probably won't do it, but I think it is something that at least Tiffany and Hannah should consider, because, like, Xavier is playing the game. He's not playing it in anybody's faces, but he is making stuff happen. So, before the Veto Players were announced, I was processing everything, trying to think of ways this can go that won't be as terrible. And I realized Derek X's only chance for survival, and this is not a guarantee, even, but it is his only slight chance of survival, is Xavier winning the veto or otherwise coming off the block. Because Derek X is going up anyway, like, judging by the people playing in the veto, which I will get to in a second, because believe me, I have stuff to say about that. But as much as it pains me to admit, Derek X is going up this week. And if Claire comes off the block, if Claire wins the veto, Derek X goes up, Derek X goes up. And that's just a fact. Like, I don't think the Cookout will realize that this is a golden opportunity to take out the biggest threat in the Cookout. But if Xavier comes off the block, Derek X goes up. Derek X versus Claire. I think there is a chance for Derek X to stay. Because I think Tiffany and Hannah would see more value in keeping Derek X for their own game. I think they could maybe get Azza on board because this is one of the weeks where Tiffany and Azza are okay with each other. It varies week to week, but this week they seem to be good with each other. They're united in their anger at Sarah Beth winning HOH. And then, Xavier and Kyland would vote out Derek X for sure. I think Derek F might as well. Unless, I don't know. Derek F is pretty gung-ho about getting out the women. So he's actually a maybe, I think. It's a little closer with him. And Alyssa, Tiffany's pretty persuasive, so... Like, if Tiffany and Hannah decide they want to keep Derek X over Claire, and they can get two of the following three, Azza, Alyssa, and Derek F. They get two of them on board. Just two. They can save them. But, again, this is all speculative. It may not even happen. And then we get the Veto Players. So, obviously, Sarah Beth, Xavier, Claire. And then, I was just hoping, please, Derek X, you got lucky the first week. You were the backdoor target, and you got picked, and you won the veto. Like, we need that luck again. And his odds are a little better this time because instead of there being 13 chips to choose from, there's 7. Just needs to be one of the first 3. But no, he did not get picked. Hannah did not get picked. She might have just kept noms the same. Tiffany did not get picked. She might have kept noms the same. No, we get Alyssa, Azza, and Derek F. Now, Alyssa is becoming the new Tyler. Last season, and I think even on his first season, Tyler played in almost every veto. Like, he would just always get picked. Not even just, like, through house guest choice. Like, his chip was pulled a lot. And it's like, are you kidding me right now? Alyssa has been picked for probably, like, 4 vetoes at this point, I think. If I'm not mistaken, 4 vetoes. It's like, give her a break. And Azza and Derek F, they're not winning anything. Who cares? and yeah. That's who's been picked, and when I saw those were the people playing, my heart sank. Because they have even talked about it in the house. Like, no matter who wins the veto, it is going to get used. Any of those people will use it if they win it. And Derek X is, like, aware to an extent that he is probably going to go up if the noms change, when the noms change. But he's confident that he would stay over Xavier. You know, he seemed to be on to it. He seemed to be on to the possibility of a group like the Cookout working together, because he and Claire were kind of saying that this is who they all work with. They all work with each other. Xavier, Kyland, Tiffany, Hannah, Azza, Derek F. They're all good with each other. And the Claire even specifically said Xavier is specifically working with these people, and she lists all of the Cookout. But Derek X is still confident that he would stay over Xavier. And I'm like, you know, I admire your confidence, dude. But Tiffany and Hannah, they're trying to hint to him otherwise. Like, they don't want to just come right out and say it. But I feel like Tiffany and Hannah are both pretty distraught over the Veto Players and how Derek X is almost certainly going up now. So, what was I going to say? I just had a good thought. Forget it. So Derek X's only move is to get back in Sarah Beth's ear and say, look, I have, because he has 100 BB bucks again. He got 100 again, so he has 200 now. So no matter what, he will have enough to play for the coup d'etat next week. He needs to convince Sarah Beth to keep him because he needs to say to her, you keep me. I will go for the coup d'etat. I get it. You don't get nominated. You don't get renommed. You don't get backdoored. Nothing. And he could even sweeten the deal and say, I will not put up Kyland either, because I know you're close with him. That's his only move. He has got to play that card. It's his only one at this point. And I hope he can do it. I really do. But I'm very worried. I'm very worried. I mean, the title of this stream is We Lost. And I think we have. You know, we had 6 good weeks, I would say. Last week was a little iffy, but just because Kyland was kind of irritating as an HOH. But as far as Brittany going home, it was like, it wasn't a huge loss because Brittany wasn't too many people's favorite. People mostly just felt bad for Brittany. They didn't love her, they didn't hate her, they just pitied her. And, Okay, so now is the part where I check Twitter for any updates I can find. Okay, so let's see. Okay, nothing on my timeline. BB updates had not updated in 4 hours when I started. Make that 5 hours. All right, let's check the hashtag. Okay, this is an interesting thing. And I'm gonna shout out this user, Lil Rob, at OTEV fan on Twitter. He says, y'all say this is a cookout steamroll, but they've won 0 vetoes and only 3 out of 7 HOHs. So maybe you should admit that they're just better strategists deserving of the win. That is a fair point. That's a very fair point. I mean, like I said, Xavier and Kyland, they're pulling the strings. They are the puppet masters of Sarah Beth. And, I would have loved to see Sarah Beth do her own thing, have her own HOH. Not let these men tell her what to do. But these guys have missed. At least with her. They know they have missed with her, and they're using it to their advantage. And, this is a classic case of hate the player, hate the game. I'm gonna retweet that. It'll be on my Twitter, at Nick Grimes YT. Yeah, I'll give that a retweet, because that is a very fair point. This isn't really a strategy thing, but I like it. I like it. Hannah said she wouldn't have applied for Big Brother if it wasn't for seeing Davon and Bailey get to play together on All Stars. That inspired her. And yeah, those two are pretty great together. I mean, I have said before that I was not a huge fan of Bailey on her first season. And to be honest, I didn't Like, I didn't really care about Davon one way or the other on BB-18. Like, that was the first season I watched. I did not watch 17 until just recently. But yeah, watching Davon on BB-18, I'm just like, yeah, okay, she's there. She didn't really do much for me. But seeing them both together, I think they both like brought the best out of each other as people. And yeah, I really enjoyed their friendship. I hope they're still friends. I'm not sure if they are. I know Davon fell out with she at least fell out with Kevin and David after last season. And I forget if I heard she fell out with Bailey or not. I feel like that might have been a thing. Someone's bringing up the Janelle gif from like when she won HOH. It's saying this is gonna be Hannah Thursday night when she wins HOH. Give me that key, B. Give me that key. If Hannah does win the next HOH, that is a strong possibility. Oh, apparently Derek from BB16 has a problem with the game being broken. I'm like, dude, you broke the game for years to come. Shut up. And for whatever reason, Hannah's dancing in the HOH room. Because of course she is. Yes, okay, this is an interesting point, I will say. Xavier and Kyland, I'm gonna retweet these too. This is from Reality Robbed 2. Xavier and Kyland ride harder for Alyssa and Sarah Beth than they ever do with cookout women. This is such a red flag. And yeah, equal time. I know I was just talking them up, but equal time. They do that. Well, I think with them, it's like they know that they can beat the women of the cookout. Of of the three women of the cookout, only Tiffany has a win so far. She won a wild card. They don't have any HOHs or vetoes yet. So I think that with them, it's just like it's settled. They're not afraid of them. And that this does go back to what I was saying about Tiffany and Hannah should try to keep Derek X. And I think they could get also on board with this if they just realize that Tiffany and Hannah can realize this because they're smart. They're smart enough to figure this out. I know they can. They need to realize that if the cookout is the final six, Xavier and Kylan are going to wipe the floor with the rest of them. They really are. And Tiffany will probably go first. And then Hannah. And then Ozza. They'll just take Derek F to the end. And, you know, possibly Kylan or Xavier. I think Xavier might take out Kylan and take Derek F to the end because he knows he would beat him. But I think Kylan would take Xavier to the end and just have like a. And just like battle properly. That's what I think would happen. But yeah, that's my prediction for if the cookout is the final six. The women will go first. So yeah, that's where I'm at. That's what I think about the future for them. But they can save themselves that future if they can keep Derek X in the house and just let him take a shot. I mean, like Tiffany and Hannah, they've had DR saying, "Okay, well, I'm still sticking with the cookout. I'm cookout ride or die." But they're dooming themselves to like fourth place at best. Well, that was about it. That was all the updates I saw. I didn't really get too many updates. But, yeah, that will do it for this stream. This week is, it's not looking good for Derek X. And it's looking like he is going to go out BB22 style. He was this close to being HOH. And then he goes home. That's what it looks like right now. So I'm already trying to envision a future Big Brother season. They kind of did this before. Well, they've kind of done it a few times before, like a rookies versus veterans season. Like 8 returning players, 8 new players, and they just battle it out. Bring back Derek X. Bring back either Tiffany or Hannah. Like, whichever one... Like, okay, if either Tiffany or Hannah does win, bring back the one that does not win. And, bring back Vanessa. Bring back Johnny Mac. I didn't watch Donnie's season, but everyone talks about how lovable he is. So sure, bring back Donnie. Like, bring back people that have not been brought back yet. I cannot stress that enough. I want new veterans. I don't want any 3rd or 4th time people. Like, if I see Cody Cauliflower again, I am out. Bring back Haley from BB20. Loved her. I feel like they'd probably bring back Tommy from BB21. Like they could. Even though I would not like to see him again. Because I just don't... I don't think he's a very good person. I think he's a very fake person. He's so fake. He is like the male Nicole Franzel. Yeah, I went there. I don't know. I'll have to think about who I would most like to see come back if they were to do it like this. This might be a controversial thing to say, but the Paul that was not on... the Paul that was on Big Brother is not the Paul they are now. So, if the person Paul is now were to come back, I think I could live with it. But no, I just realized I'm going back on my rule. No three-peats. I want people here for their second time. Kemi, give Kemi another chance. And Ovi. At least one of them. Alright. That will do it for this stream. Let's just keep hoping for some sort of miracle that saves Derek X this week. And if not, let's just lament the fact that this high roller twist derailed a perfectly good season. Alright. Peace out.